Montrose Hill McCloy High School tradition-rich wrestling program has produced its share of champions, as evidenced by winning 8 state team wrestling championships in 1975, 76, 77, 81, and 83 under Coach Tom Castile, and 1997, 98, 2004 under Coach David Beasley. The 1981 and 1983 state champion teams are being inducted together in the Montrose Sports and Community Hall of Fame class of 2018, since many wrestled on both teams and their stats and records intertwine. Today, many live throughout Michigan, while others reside in Arizona, California, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Students that wrestled on both the 1981 and 83 teams include Dale Eckelsheimer, David Dean, Billy Gamble, Ken Reinhardt, Mark Rosenkrantz, Rod Severn, and Mark Wilhelm. Remaining members of the 1981 team include Tony Bell, Tim Britton, Noel Dean, John Grew, Eric Hayes, John O'Mara, Sean Murdoch, Tom Ranger, Ken Reinhardt, Richard Reinhardt, Mark Rosenkrantz, Jim Sanders, Gary Silva, Scott Scarvina, George Weber, Pete Wilhelm, Coach Tom Castile, and assistant coach Bob Hayes. Remaining members of the 1983 team include Steve Barnett, Tim Klolinger, Rob Cross, Noel Dean, Brent Dominy, Don Eastman, John Gamber, Eric Hayes, Ron Hitchcock, Robin Lloyd, Matt McGraw, Mike McGraw, Mike Murdoch, Keith Ward, Ken Ward, Mark Wilhelm, Coach Tom Castile, and assistant coaches Bob Hayes, Steve Ferguson, and Greg Whitney. The strong underclassmen pushed the varsity squad for a starting position. Some considered challenges before a meet tougher than the meet itself, which only made them stronger. In the 1980s, individual wrestlers qualified for the state tournament. Their total points awarded that school the team state championship. The 1981 team had 6 qualified wrestlers, all of them placed in the finals, and produced Montrose's 4th state Class C wrestling championship, held at the Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor in front of 9,000 people. An excited Castile said, "We did very well. I can't say enough about these kids. We ended up right where we wanted to be, and it was simply fantastic." Montrose cinched the Class C state championship with 95.5 points. The next runner-up had 55.5 points. Senior Gary Silva and sophomore Rod Severn were 2 first-place state champions. Gary became a 3-time individual state champion. Castile called him the greatest wrestler in Montrose mat history, with a record career of 187, 18, and 1, setting a national consecutive win record. Rod Severn became the 5th Severn brother to win a state title, an incredible accomplishment he repeated in 1982 and 83. Sophomore Eric Hayes was the surprise success story of the tourney. He whitewashed his opponent 10-0 in the semifinals and had a super performance in the finals for second place. Senior Tony Bell earned a 4th place at 185 pounds, losing in the consolation finals 5-2. He rebounded to post a 4-2 win and a 4-minute 20-second pin to become a state medalist. Junior Sean Murdoch faced a tough opponent in the semifinals 6-3, then battled back to pin his opponent, claiming 5th place in the state finals. Tom Ranger earned 5th place in the state using his best weapon, a devastating cradle move. He suffered a heartbreaking 14-13 loss in the semis. He finished with a sparkling 50-6 season. The 1983 Montrose wrestling team wrote another chapter in the prolifically successful wrestling history by setting numerous records and producing 6 state medal holders, winning states by 30 points. Montrose amassed 128.5 points to outdistance second-place New Lothrop with 95. Montrose boasts 6 medalists. Castile commented, "This was the best of the bunch. I can't explain why, but it was more exciting and more fun than I've ever had." Montrose had 3 Ram wrestlers place first to become individual state champions, with wins from seniors Eric Hayes and Rod Severn, and an astonishing freshman, Mike Murdoch, propelled Montrose to its team state championship. It was Rod Severn's 3rd individual state championship. The Ram sensation went 55-0 in 1983, and amassed a 162-8 career with 112 pins. Eric claimed the coveted first place his senior year after finishing 6th and 2nd in the state the last 2 years. Senior Mark Wilhelm earned 2nd place in the state, reaching the finals after winning in overtime. His season record was 48-8-1. Standout junior David Dean placed 3rd at states with an enviable 58-1 season. Senior Mark Rosenkrantz placed 5th in the state. He came within a whisker of reaching the finals, bowing 6-4 to Dundee in the semis. Senior Ken Reinhardt was a state qualifier who contributed with a pair of victories. Castile said, "Ken was the most improved kid, finishing 39-13-1. He gave us leadership, and it was tough that he didn't medal." The Michigan High School Athletic Association's website enumerates numerous state records that members of the 1981 and 1983 Montrose wrestling teams fought hard for and bled for. Some of those individuals that still own records for the state of Michigan 35-plus years later include Gary Silva, who still holds the state records for career team points of 1,234 from 1978 to 1981, and is still listed as 4th in the state for the team career record. He still holds a state individual record of 114 career wins and 4 national records. In 1981, he broke or tied 5 national records, including 104 straight wins and most tournament wins in a career. Gary was Montrose's first 3-time individual state champion, using his impressive ability to grab an opponent quickly and drive him straight to his back. Gary placed at states 4 consecutive years. He earned a spot on the U.S. team with astounding athletes from across the country. Gary had 2 older brothers, Gil, 1976 team, and Jerry, the 1978 team, who started the family wrestling legacy. Gary continued his wrestling career at the University of Kentucky. Mike Murdoch is one of the greatest wrestlers that graduated from Montrose. In 1983, he became the first wrestler in Montrose history to win the state championship as a freshman. He repeated that triumph every year of high school and became the only 4-time individual state champion from a resilient Montrose powerhouse. That's an incredible accomplishment. The tenacious wrestler still holds the season victory record of 60-1 for the 1983-84 season. He earned the High School All-American Award for his stellar career record of 209-9-1. Mike wrestled at the University of Michigan one semester before he was in a tragic automobile accident that prevented him from further competition in college. In 1983, David Dean was selected as a high school All-American after becoming a 2-time high school state champion in wrestling. He then became a 2-time NCAA All-American wrestler and a 2-time Big Ten champion at the University of Minnesota. His passion for wrestling led him to the USA Olympic team. Dave made an attempt in the 1992 trials when the match ended 0-0, and the committee voted the wrong decision. He dedicated himself to the 1996 Olympic Games, where he was an alternate after losing one very close match at the trials in a 1-0 score against an opponent who placed 6th at the Olympic Games. Dave had 4 brothers that wrestled at Montrose and college. He was on the coaching staff at Michigan State University when his youngest brother wrestled there. Dave later coached wrestling at Lowell High School with his brother Noel and became the head of the Olympic Development Program at Cornell University in New York, where his son Gabe attended and wrestled. Rod Severn notched 32 tournament victories in 4 years. His 48 pins in 1983 shattered the national single-season record previously held by his brother Mark, and claimed another national record of most pins in 2 seasons with 88. He also captured a national freestyle crown. Rod Severn became a 3-time individual state champion and a high school All-American, continuing the family tradition and the long line of standout wrestlers from the Severn family. He received a full scholarship to wrestle for Arizona State University, where his determination helped him become a 3-time collegiate All-American. He helped his ASU team capture the NCAA championship. Rod continued the success that his 4 older brothers achieved at Montrose and in college. The Flint Journal featured an article about his parents, displaying the 202 trophies and 426 medals won by their sons. 4 of the Severns wrestled at Arizona State University and 1 at Michigan State University. Another collegiate wrestler, Rob Cross, who was a freshman on the 1983 team, went on to wrestle for Central Michigan University. Parents of wrestlers deserve big thanks for their countless hours they spent sitting in bleachers, packing food for all-day events to support their sons. Some waited hours to watch their son's next match and stayed until the end to celebrate the victories. The 1981 and 1983 state champion teams had several sets of brothers: the Deans, McGraws, Reinhardts, the Wards, Wilheims, and the Murdochs. Mike Murdoch's older brothers, Courtney and Sean, pushed each other growing up and made them scrappy and competitive. They competed and pushed each other to do their best. Sean, from the 1981 team, then wrestled at Lake Superior State, where he was named the Outstanding Freshman Wrestler. 3-time national qualifier, 3-time captain, 2-time All-American, 2-time MVP, academic All-American, and voted Outstanding Senior Athlete for Lake Superior State for all sports. It takes a team effort from everyone's blood, sweat, and tears to win a state championship. Tom Ranger, a 5th-place state finisher, proved he had the heart of a Montrose wrestler after being diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare neurological disorder which robbed his ability to walk and talk. His 6'3" frame became a skeleton at 68 pounds during 8th grade. As a freshman in a wheelchair, Coach Castile gave him a purpose and made him his personal assistant manager. After a long rehab and learning to walk again, Tom earned a spot in the lineup on the 1981 team. He was winning his match at the state tournament until his defender threw illegal strikes to his face, breaking his jaw, knocking out 2 teeth, and gave him a concussion. His teeth were shoved back in his mouth. Coach crafted an improvised mouthpiece out of first aid tape and pumped him up to finish that match. His mission was not to get pinned, then wrestle 2 more matches, which helped Montrose claim that state championship. Wrestlers were influenced in the classroom, where Coach Hayes was their physical education teacher and Coach Castile was their government teacher. Tom Castile built a reputation that Montrose wrestling was a powerhouse. He instilled a huge burn in his athletes to be successful. He celebrated their victories and consoled their defeats. He was extremely proud to watch his former wrestlers compete at the next level and beyond. His wrestlers believed they were unbeatable. To leave the mat without pinning their opponent felt like they were letting the team down. That philosophy worked. The wrestling program put Montrose on the map in a huge way and opened the door for so many to wrestle in college. And it is with that pride that we welcome the 1981 and 1983 wrestling team state champions and their coaches into the 2018 Montrose Sports and Community Hall of Fame.